Let's talk supplies. So in this video, I'm going to show you all the supplies that I use every time I bake and decorate my sugar cookies. In a separate video, I will show you the original things that I used before I had all of this stuff. We'll have two different videos. This one, if you want to buy all the things or some of the things. I just want to share with you what I have and use and love. I will also share with you how to get started if you don't have this and don't want to invest in a bunch of stuff, the alternative things that you can use as well. The first thing that I'm going to recommend is a stand mixer. Now, this is something that you don't have to have. You could use a hand mixer. You could even mix the dough and things up by hand if you don't have a mixer. I think that would be hard. I've never done that. The cookie dough gets pretty solid and I would not want to mix that by hand. Honestly, you might burn out the motor of your little hand mixer if you try and do it with a hand mixer. So I do recommend having a nice sturdy stand mixer. This one is a KitchenAid 5-quart and I'm very happy with it. This is what I use. This one has a tilt head. It has the 5-quart mixing bowl that is removable, and I just use this paddle attachment when I'm mixing. This is the one that came with the mixer and it works great. Have your bowl on there, tilt this down, lock it in place, and it's got all the settings. This is what I use for mixing up the dough and the icing. That's my first item on the list of recommended supplies. Also for your cookie dough, I do recommend having a large spatula. This is for scraping out the bowl, the sides and bottom of your bowl while you're making your cookie dough. This is a nice silicone spatula. It's flexible, it's sturdy, easy to clean, throw it in the dishwasher. When you're making your cookie dough, you will want a separate mixing bowl. This is a large mixing bowl. It doesn't have to be quite this big, but this is for mixing up your dry ingredients before you add them into the wet ingredients. So you need some type of bowl to do that. While you're mixing those dry ingredients, you will need some type of whisk for mixing them together. A nice set of measuring cups and measuring spoons is pretty much essential for baking. Baking is like a science and you need pretty accurate measurements in order for your recipes to come out correctly. The other thing you're going to want when you're making your cookies is some type of cookie cutters. And I have another video where I'm going to get into all of the alternatives. If you don't want to invest in buying a bunch of cookie cutters, I have other ideas for you. You have to have a cookie sheet to bake the cookies on. I love these cookie sheets. This is Nordic ware, made in the USA, which is nice. They are large and they're sturdy and they bake really well. I actually got mine from Walmart. I think the price that I paid at Walmart was less than the price on Amazon, so it might be worth checking that out. But these are the ones I use and recommend. When your cookie sheet comes out of the oven, you can just set it right on the stove top to let the cookies cool. I do recommend having some cooling racks on hand that you can move the cookie sheet onto these, and that way you're not setting it hot right onto your table or counter. And if you want to remove the cookies from the cookie sheet so that you can keep using the cookie sheet to bake more cookies, you can also use these cooling racks to put the cookies on here to finish cooling. Parchment paper. I always line my cookie sheets with parchment paper. It's fantastic. It prevents your cookie sheet from getting dirty and it prevents the cookies from sticking to the pan. So win-win. I like to buy these in these large sheets because they pretty much perfectly fit my cookie sheets, and this way I'm not having to tear off of a big roll of parchment paper and I'm not having to cut it to be the right size because they're already the right size. So this is what I use for my parchment paper. A rolling pin. When you're rolling out your cookie dough, it is a good idea to have a rolling pin. There are a few different options. If you just have a regular rolling pin, which you probably do, you can buy these little silicone rings that come in different thicknesses, and you can just stick them right on your existing rolling pin to help gauge the thickness of your dough so that when you're rolling it out, it'll be a consistent thickness. I always roll my sugar cookies out to 1/4 inch thick, and so you would want to make sure that you got something around 1/4 inch to put onto your rolling pin. I did purchase the Ann Clark wooden rolling pin, which is 1/4 inch thick. This is my favorite rolling pin. I love it. It's very nice and wide, so you have a big surface area for rolling. It works great, and I like that it gives me that nice consistent thickness in my cookie dough. So you can go to your home improvement store. I believe we got these from Lowe's or Home Depot, and they have these long sticks that are in different thicknesses, and this happens to be a 1/4 inch thick dowel rod. It costs less than $1 to get one of these, and then I just used a Sharpie and wrote 1/4 inch on it so that I would know it was a 1/4 inch thick. And you just lay these on either side of your dough. Take your existing rolling pin, whatever it happens to be, and make sure that the rolling pin is on top of those dowel rods and your dough is in the middle, and then you'll get 1/4 inch thick dough. These are great. This is what I always used for years before I started making these sugar cookies regularly, so highly recommend. Last thing you need for making your cookie dough is some plastic wrap. I use the plastic wrap for wrapping up my cookie dough when I'm done with it, and that helps to keep it from drying out. And if you're going to store it in the refrigerator for later to make your cookies at a future date, then wrapping it in plastic wrap is perfect. The other thing that I actually use my plastic wrap for is this is how I roll out my cookie dough. So you can roll your cookie dough out on any surface that's clean and sprinkled with flour to prevent it from sticking. That's how I used to do it. But adding that extra flour in can kind of dry your dough out, and it leaves the floury residue on it. So an alternative is you can use parchment paper or you can use plastic wrap, and you just put your dough in between 2 pieces of parchment paper or 2 pieces of plastic wrap and roll your dough out, and the parchment paper and the plastic wrap do not stick to the dough. I used to use parchment paper. The reason I stopped is because parchment paper gets wrinkly when you're rolling the dough out, and I didn't like how the wrinkles in the parchment paper would transfer to being wrinkly dough. When I switched to plastic wrap, I realized that I liked it a lot better. It kind of stretches with the dough, and it doesn't leave those big wrinkles like parchment paper can. So you can just keep reusing those 2 sheets of plastic wrap for your entire set of dough that you're rolling out, and just keep re-stretching it out, and it works great. So this is my top recommendation: rolling your cookie dough out between 2 pieces of plastic wrap. Now, supplies that I use for crusting buttercream icing. First thing is tipless piping bags. I ordered these on Amazon and they're fantastic. There's a wide variety that you can choose from on there. I've had good luck with any of them that I've ever gotten. These are what I always use for decorating. I love them, they're versatile, and for sealing the top of your bag, I have these little bag clips. You just twist off the top of your bag, use this little bag clip on there, not messy, and then you can take them off when you're done and obviously reuse them forever for sealing your bags. You're also going to want a pair of sharp scissors for trimming off the tip of your bag. I like these little Scotch scissors. I find that they are super sharp, and I like that they're smaller so that they're a little bit easier to work with when you're doing something really small, like cutting off the tip of an icing bag. Food coloring, lots of options here. I have bought the little food coloring things from the grocery store. They are good, and that's a good place to start. If you have these, great. Get started. You can also get these little gel tube food colorings from the grocery store or from Walmart or whatever. They work great as well. If you want to move into the more professional type gel, I don't know if they're professional, but it seems like it, gel food colorings, then you might want to do some like AmeriColor. And I got these in a pack, and they last a long time because you're only going to use like a drop or so at a time because they're super concentrated. So I really like this little AmeriColor pack here. Now here's the other thing. You can also get food coloring gels in these little tubs. These are Wilton. I don't like these at all, and I actually find that I never use them. But the thing about these is that it's not a squeeze tube or squeeze bottle, it's a tub. So you have to take the lid off. It's sealed, right? Obviously I've never used this. I've never even opened the seal. You have to take the seal off, and then you have to use something like a toothpick or something to get it out and get it into your icing. And I just find that makes such a mess. I don't like it. If you're asking for my opinion, I don't recommend these little tubs at all. I much prefer the squeeze bottles or the squeeze tubes, something that you can just squeeze it out. So much easier. I also have this white food coloring. This is Americolor Bright White. I got it in this giant container here. I use this for making my icing just because it helps to make it extra white. And it helps to, I think, prevent the colors from bleeding into each other on the cookie. This is not essential. You don't have to get it. You don't have to use it. But if you want to, I use it. So there you go. Okay, now on the other side of food coloring, we have the natural food coloring, which I love. I'm trying to get more familiar with it, trying to use it. It's so much more expensive. So it's a little bit hard to invest in it to begin with. I will show you what I have. So I have the 365 Whole Foods brand of plant-based food coloring that came with red, yellow, green, and blue. So this is basically just like the same little things that you usually would get from the grocery store food coloring, except that it's made from plants and, you know, vegetables and stuff. Same thing, Watkins assorted food coloring, no artificial dyes, same basic colors, red, yellow, green, and blue. These are fine. I've had pretty good results with them. As far as black food coloring goes, natural or otherwise, the Cocoa Trader Black Dutch Cocoa Powder, which I got on Amazon, is fantastic. By far the best way to achieve a rich black color in your icing. Whether you're trying to use natural or not, this is great. It achieves a black color so much faster and easier than using the food dye does. It basically tastes kind of like an Oreo cookie, kind of a mild cocoa flavor, not like super chocolatey, but if you are going to decorate an entire cookie using black, then your cookie will probably end up tasting a little bit more chocolatey. I highly recommend this for any black icing that you need to make. The other natural food colorings that I have are this Suncore Foods brand, which I bought all of these on Amazon. I have the Blue Butterfly Pea Flower Powder, Premium Midori Jade Matcha Super Color Powder, Red Beet Super Color Powder, Organic Red Beet Powder, Pink Pitaya Red Dragon Fruit Powder, and Purple Sweet Potato Powder. I have also purchased the Super Natural brand of liquid food coloring. I had pretty good results with that. It's just that it came in a pretty limited quantity and I used it all up all at once, so I don't have any to show you. These, on the other hand, will last probably forever because each one has a huge amount of powder in it for each color. These are not going to be immediately a super like vibrant blue like you might get with a regular food coloring. So it takes a little experimentation, but there you have it. That's what I have, that's what I use. Last thing on our supply list is scribe tools. These are really kind of important little things to have on hand because they just have this really nice little kind of needle point end to them that allows you to go in. I use these every time I decorate cookies to swirl my icing around, fix anything that maybe isn't perfect, and move that icing so that it lays just right on the cookie. These are not that expensive. I definitely recommend investing in some. One other thing that I use, which I will give you a link to as well, is the Impulse Sealer. This is how I heat seal the bags for presenting my cookies in a way that can be gifted to other people. And these are the little bags that I use. I will provide links to the bags and the heat sealer that I use in case you are interested in having these for yourself. That's it for my supplies. In another video, I will show you the cheap or no-cost versions that you can use if you don't feel like buying all this stuff. Also, I do want to share that all of the different Amazon links that I provided do take you to my affiliate links. I'm part of the Amazon affiliate program, which basically just means that I might make a little bit of money if you purchase the item through my link, but it doesn't change the cost for you. It's just a way to support my business. I hope this was helpful for you. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about supplies or recommendations.